7-star Ice Tera Empoleon raids have officially been revealed as the next 7-star unrivaled raid in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And shockingly, it is not the first time we have seen this combination before. We actually had a water-type Pokemon with an Ice Tera last year with Inteleon. And it looks like some of those builds could actually work well against Empoleon as well. But before we get too ahead of ourselves here and start talking about builds, let's take a look at Empoleon, cover its stats, what moves it could possibly know, and everything you're going to need to know to challenge Empoleon the Unrivaled when it arrives in Scarlet and Violet later this week. Let's get to it. And there he is, Empoleon. So, Empoleon is water and steel typing, and for this raid specifically, we'll have an Ice Tera type. Odds are no held item on this one because 7-star raids usually don't have held items. It will, however, be level 100 because they always are for 7-star raids, and it will have the Mightiest mark when you do catch it after defeating the raid. Now, as for Empoleon's stats, at level 100, HP is 294, but we do know it'll have that 30 times multiplier that all 7-star raids have. Attack is likely to be 183 because this is probably going to be a modest nature Empoleon, so its attack stat will be lowered. Defense stat of 189, which is definitely not the highest we've ever gone up against. Speed of 148, which means that this one's not going to be super difficult to outspeed, which is honestly super good for us. Special defense of 210, significantly higher than its physical defense, so we're probably not going to want to bring special attackers into this one for more than one reason that we'll get to in a second. And a special attack stat of 253, which means that when this thing hits, it is going to hit hard. Now, as for Empoleon's ability during this raid, it will not have the ability Torrent. It will have its hidden ability, which in Scarlet and Violet is not defiant, it is competitive, which means that anytime you try and drop its stats, you are going to actually increase its special attack. Meaning that our normal strategy of using like Acid Spray or Screech, anything in that area, is going to be null and void against this Pokemon. Basically, if you use Screech, its defense is going to stay the same, and you're just going to boost its special attack, which you really don't want to do when its special attack is already as high as it is. So, definitely something to consider with this. Definitely going to want to focus on physical attackers, but no stat lowering moves on this one. Now, as far as moves go for Empoleon, there are quite a few moves that Empoleon is likely to have or has access to. However, I think it's safe to say that 3 moves that it is likely to have, it has a much higher chance of having, are definitely going to be moves like Hydro Pump, Flash Cannon, and Air Cutter. Air Cutter specifically to combat some of the types that we might bring in that are not Fire type. I would definitely expect to see an Ice-type move on this, especially with it being Ice Tera, which Empoleon gets access to quite a few. Blizzard could be huge for this one, so could Ice Beam, could be very, very nasty on Empoleon, and I could also see them going as far as to give it Hydro Cannon, 150 power, or base power, 90% accuracy. The not being able to move on the next turn might make it a little difficult for it to use this one, but there is always that chance. As far as stat boosting moves go, however, Iron Defense is very likely on this one. Game Freak is obviously going to know that Inteleon is more physically weak than it is specially defensive weak, so Iron Defense could be a huge move for for Empoleon to have on this one, to kind of help counter some of the physical type Pokemon that we would bring in. And we could also see another Snowscape in here, kind of like we saw with Iron Bundle, using Snowscape turn 1 and then immediately rolling into Blizzard or Ice Beam after that. Also boosting defense as well, making it harder for us to use physical attacking Pokemon. And if Game Freak does figure that we're going to bring in physical attacking Pokemon in this one, Charm is definitely another option for a stat lowering move that Empoleon could use as like a one-off move here to be able to harshly lower our attack. Meaning if we do bring something like Belly Drum Iron Hands or Belly Drum Hariyama, something like that, Charm could severely limit the amount of damage that we're able to do, especially since we can't use moves like Screech or Acid Spray or anything like that without triggering that competitive ability. But as a summary on this one, again, everything you need to know about Empoleon. It is Water and Steel typing, Ice Tera, level 100, will have the Mightiest Mark on this one. Stat-wise, for Empoleon, you're looking at a much higher special attack stat than you are physical attack, and you're looking at a much weaker physical defense than you are special defense. So definitely going to want to invest in special defense in whatever Pokemon you bring in, and you're definitely going to bring in some physical attacking Pokemon on this one. The ability competitive makes it so that we cannot use any stat lowering moves without boosting Empoleon's special attack, which is going to make this raid a lot more difficult for us because a lot of strats usually revolve around that. As far as this compares to our last water and ice type Pokemon, Inteleon, you can see that Inteleon was significantly faster. Physical defense was a little bit lower physical defense was a little bit lower than what Empoleon's physical defense was. However, its special attack was significantly higher and its HP was a little bit lower. So yeah, this one's it's not really a repeat, but it kind of is at the same time. It's just a different go about with it. Moveset is very hard to predict on this one. I would definitely say Hydro Pump, Flash Cannon, Air Cutter are 3 high choices, high priority moves on the list to be able to counter some of the Pokemon that we would bring in. I would also expect to see moves like Snowscape, Avalanche, Ice Beam in there as well. Hydro Cannon is definitely a possibility, and possibly Iron Defense and Charm as moves to be able to increase Empoleon's physical defense as well as lower our physical attack. But that's it. That is basically everything that you need to know about Empoleon the Unrivaled before it arrives in Scarlet and Violet later this week. I will have more builds for you guys as the week goes on, but for now, I want you guys to let me know down in the comments below. What do you think of this raid? What do you think of this being yet another repeat typing for a 7-star raid? And what are you guys planning on bringing for this one? Because I have a feeling some of you probably have the same idea as I do, and I have a feeling we're going to see some recycled builds for this that we've probably seen in the past. But that's all for now, guys. Do me a favor, if you like this, hit the like button, consider subscribing to the channel. As always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.